let's try this again. All right, here we go. Back to Hills and SAS, day 2. You don't have to find it in alphabetical order if you don't want, whatever comes first. So I'm looking at this here, and I'm saying, all right, could I find X? X is a segment. So I go through all my options. I got SAS. Well, that's not going to work because the altitude is Y, and I'd have a proportion with Y and X in there. No go. Then I'm thinking hills. Could I use hills anywhere? And actually, I can use hills now that I think about it. You can use, everyone see, no hills? What's the hypotenuse length? X plus 1 over 3 equals 3 over 1. So I could do hills there. All right, I'm choosing not to because I want to use Pythagorean theorem with you guys. All right, so I am going to use Pythagorean theorem on this right triangle there to start off. I'm going to find Y first. Okay, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Please keep that in mind. You are dealing with not 1, not 2, but 3 right triangles. So sometimes Pythag might be an option. All right, I'm going to turn this back over to you guys. Let me know what should be going in for A, B, and C if I'm going to use Pythag on that right triangle. A, B, and C, what's going in? All right, start us off better than I am, Josh. Go ahead.
What?
So, Pythagorean. I want to use Pythagorean theorem. Where do the 3y and 1 go in Pythagorean theorem?
It's 1 squared plus y squared equals 3 squared.
Yep. Good job. All right, so I get 1 plus y squared equals 9. Make sure you move the 1 over before you take the square root. Y squared equals 8. And yes, I'd love everything to be in simplest radical form, if not suggested in the problem. So you take the square root of 8, y ends up being 2 radical 2. All right, so we got y out of the way. Make sure you put that on your diagram because I'm sure we'll have to use it. All good so far. All right, now let's find x together. I'll leave this up to you guys. How can I find x now? What am I going to need to find x? And again, you choose. We already revealed that you could have used hills, but now I think we can use something else if you wanted to, but your choice. How do you want to find x? We're going 12. Olivia, what do you want to use here? Hills? You want to go to the hills? Okay. We can go hills. So we just said if I'm going to go hills, the hypotenuse is x plus 1 or 1 plus x. 3 would be my leg. Legs are always the same in hills, and now I'm using 1 for my segment. And if you guys are using SAS, this should come out to be the same. Just keep using SAS. All right, if some of you guys were going to use it, we should get the same answer here. So, no matter if I use hills or SAS, value of x.
That's you.
That is me. What do you want me to tell you? 8. There you go. X equals 8. I didn't change it, so I guess I'll keep to it. X equals 8, no matter what you use. All right. There is a specific way, though, I want to find z with you. I understand. Could we use hills? Yes, we could to find z. We could use hills now that I know the value of x. I'm not going to do that, though. I want to use Pythag because I want to show you something when you're using your calculator. I want to use Pythag to find z. And hey, I have 2 options, don't I, for Pythag? I could use the big triangle, or what I'm going to use instead with you guys is this one right here. All right, but we could use the large triangle and do Pythag on that one, but I'm choosing this one for a calculator purpose. All right, so what am I, where's A, B, and C? What's going in for A, B, and C there? 7. Amy, what's going in for A, B, and C if I use that triangle?
2 radical 2
Yep.
A and Z.
Good. 2 radical 2 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. I want to do this with you because right here, when you type this into your calculator, I want you to take a look on mine up here. Watch what happens. If I do 2 radical 2 and then square it, I'm going to get a value. 4. Versus doing 2 radical 2 all squared. No, Get out of there. Relax back there. If it's going to give me an error, I'm going to flip out. Of course. All right, you know what? Clear it all out. How about that? 2, radical 2. Right? Because when you use no parentheses, your NumWorks calculator is thinking you're just squaring radical 2. Well, what do I need to square? The full side. So make sure you put it in parentheses. Okay, so just a heads up going forward. Anytime you're using Pythagorean theorem with a radical involved, put that bad boy in parentheses, please. All right, put it in parentheses. And no matter what we do here, Z is going to come out to be what? When you're ready. Doyle, what do you got when you're ready? Get that calculator fired up.
6 radical 2.
Yes, good work. All right, so just a heads up there for everybody. When you use a radical with Pythag, make sure you use parentheses in your NumWorks calculator, because as you saw, it does make a difference. All right, we all good? Doesn't matter where you start with whatever variable you can find first. Ooh, we got a little problem though coming up on number 2. We're asked to find X and Y. All right, I know there's segments. All right, so I'm thinking about SAS. What? Nope. That's blank. Hills? Hills. I can tell you that's going to be a no right from the get-go, because what are you going to put in for hypotenuse then? Yeah, X plus Y. No shot. We're stuck. Right? Can't use SAS. Can't use hills. I'm going to use multiple variables if I do. What do you always have for a third possibility? Pythag, good. Why would Pythag help us? Look at the big right triangle. I already know 2 sides, and when you find the third, you'll be finding the hypotenuse I need for hills. All right, so I have to start with Pythagorean theorem. So 15 squared plus 20 squared equals C squared. I'm trying to, the purpose of today is having you guys realize you may just not just use one proportion and you're done. You might have to use multiple proportions. Here we're using Pythag first. We get C squared equal to 625. And that hypotenuse is 25. All right, it's up to you. Please create a correct hills or SAS proportion that'll find X or Y. I mean, you can find either one right now, but just need one proportion from somebody here. All right, let's do this. Ooh, where am I going? Gianna, here you go. Give me a good one here. To find X or Y. 25 Y minus X. Are you trying to use hills or SAS? Well, no altitude, right? So SAS is out. So if you use hills, what did we already find as the hypotenuse? 25, right? I don't need a minus X in there. All right, leg. All right, even 15. We could use 20 as well, but we'll use 15. But if you do use 15, what segment are we going to solve for? There you go, the one adjacent to it. Perfect. Honestly, I should just write the answer down and not even worry about it, but just, for some anticipation, right? So what did we find out for X? Whew, that was a close one. Matt, when you're ready, take your time. We'll be on your schedule. 9, yeah. There you go. 9. Now, when I go to find Y, is it necessary for me to do hills again? I don't have, you can, I don't have to though. All right, I can get to it a little quicker and say, hey, I know the whole hypotenuse is 25, so y should be 25 minus what I just found there, which is 9. I don't know. So y is going to be, woo, thank you, Doyle, 16, yep. And you could have found that by subtracting like we did or doing hills again. All good. All right, so there's not going to be, these next two are easy to set up, a little tougher to solve though. Okay, you're going to have to get your algebra big boy, big girl pants on to solve these. Not hard to set up, a little tougher to solve. All right, so I have my hill-SAS diagram that I need. Altitude involved? Yeah, none of the legs are either, so it's got to be a SAS. So let's set this up for me first. I want to set this one up here. Go ahead, Josh.
X plus 15.
Segment over
What? Like 10?
10. Altitude. I'm just teaching as you.
Oh.
They taught me that in teaching school. Yeah. And what else here?
10 over X.
Altitude over segment. Good. So easy to set up. You ready to solve now? X times X plus 15, going to have to distribute, equals 10 times 10, 100. First time that number's ever been on some of your paper this year, huh? Too harsh? Too harsh? Anybody too harsh? Sorry. Never mind. Yeah, you picked it up. Good. Good. Sorry, I think we're into the second half of the year. I can joke a little bit more with you. Hopefully you've got some thick skin. X squared plus 15x. All right, you had to do it on the midterm. We did a ton of it in the similar triangles unit before the midterm. What did we do a ton of? Factoring, right? And we're not factoring anything unless one side equals 0. So let's move that 100 over. X squared plus 15x minus 100. Right, numbers are a little bit larger than we're used to. Suck it up, you're in honors math. Two numbers that multiply to 100, but 15 apart. 15 apart. And whether you guess and check on your calculator or your Algebra 1 teacher last year gave you some crazy trick, whatever gets the job done. Or if you're too unsure, use quadratic formula, right? That's always an option too. All right, if you're not a big factoring fan, you can always use quadratic formula. We come up with the numbers. Uh-oh, here we go. Going deep with me now, huh? All right, those numbers would be 20 and 5. They multiply to 100, but are 15 apart. And they have to add to 15, so it's got to be plus 20 minus 5. All right, answers here. I know some of you bypass this step, but that's fine. You get x equal to negative 20 and x equal to 5. I'm not ready to go on to the next problem. Talk to me. Why not? Ooh, Gianna, why am I not ready? Yep. When I look at my diagram, negative 20 is not going to cut it as a negative side length. So we're just looking at 5. Perfect. Anything else? All right. One more. A little wrinkle on this one. Oh, I got the altitude 12. Got to be a SAS, right? Got to be a, oh, okay. Let me help. Let's set this up then. S, X, right? Segment, altitude, got it. Altitude, got it. Oh, about that next segment, huh? What's the deal there? Not doing PyFag either to find it. Don't have enough information to do PyFag. Can't do hills to find it because I don't know any legs. So we're stuck right now, or are we? Can you write in what that length is based on all this information? What is that length? Any help here? 2, Zoe? Darn right. Great job. Whole hypotenuse is 26 minus the other segment, x. And there it is, 26 minus x. All right, cross them up. This is the first time this has happened this year. What's going to happen coming up? X times 26 minus x. 12 times 12, always at the end of that multiplication table, right? You had to memorize 144. All right, watch what happens here. First time this year, but hey, 26x minus x squared. I have made it very clear how I roll in here. If you're going to ask me to factor, that x, whatever squared, better be positive. All right, first time this year, it's negative. So guess what? I'm going to move it over. All right, I know it's more convenient to move over the 144, but I'm not confident in my factoring ability unless whatever squared is positive. So I'm going to move over the negative x squared and the 26x. If you want to keep it and play with fire because you're a stud, go ahead. Go ahead. See how it works out when you try to factor it. X squared minus 26x plus $1.44. Ooh, bigger numbers that multiply to 144, but are somehow going to give me negative 26. Ooh, play around on the calc. Give you a suggestion. It's not a cheat code. It's a good suggestion. Some of you guys might get frustrated and you never find those numbers. And you've wasted 5 minutes of a test. You're starting to panic a little bit. Remember, you set up a proportion. You can go to NumWorks. You can go to equations, right? Solve it. And this is only if you get stuck on factoring. That's not going to cut it. I'll go negative 100 to 100. Just to be ridiculous, just to make sure I do get it. And it's going to give you two answers. Those are your answers, right? So then think about what must have been in the parentheses before then, the opposites. Okay, so if you ever get stuck factoring, here's a tip. Go to equations, type in your proportion, figure out what the answers were, and then, all right, it's got to be the opposites in the parentheses. So we're looking at what? Minus 8 and minus 18. And just take a quick check, make sure the numbers work. They multiply to 144 and add to negative 26, which they do. And I'll give you one last opportunity because I like most of you. Here you go. So what should my final answers be? Oh, sorry. Olivia?
X equals 8. X equals 18.
Yep. It's happened before, but not very common. Any issues with either one? No reason to reject, right? No reason to reject. I'm going to get, look, and this is why. If that's 18, that's got to be 8. They got to add up to 26. If that's going to be 18, if that's going to be 8, that's got to be 18. So both are fine. All right, that one rare instance where we're going to accept both.